Absolute Wonder Woman issue 18, Kelly Thompson writing with Hayden Sherman on the art. So we had the cliffhanger last time. We had the Suicide Squad, and at the end, the fiery magic user showed up, and we actually speculated it was Zatara at the end of the discussion, but it does turn out to be the case once Zatanna shows up and confirms that. But basically, Wonder Woman's arm's been taken. She realizes just how powerful this magic user is, and kind of has to flee. Which notably, you see Barbara Ann in the corner being like, "She left me." So I don't know if that's the start of the seeds being sowed of the breakup, if you will.
Hey. Yeah, there's one cheetah down, and Barbara Ann's in the crossfire. You know, so I feel like we're foreshadowing closer to that outcome.
But even when she tries to fly away, though, she actually ends up falling out of the sky. She's too weakened by everything that just happened, and Pegasus has to swoop in. This is just a couple of pages where we get to really enjoy the art. Like, obviously, it's telling the story, but it's mostly this silent visual of this epic kind of save.
The very first page, right? It's got Diana holding her arm and Zatara in flames, and she is like. Sherman gives it this 3D kind of setting because she's almost like stepping over the panel line, and then it breaks up the other two panels below it. You know, so it adds this depth that it really adds something to this opening page. Like, it feels like we're in immediate danger, like from the jump. So
yeah,
good on him.
Yeah, she feels like she's under threat, and then she's having to retreat, so it feels like a big deal. And then when she does get brought back to the heron, Zatanna shows up quickly to try and help, and apologizes and says that her cursing her and whatnot was all an attempt to circumvent what Kayla was trying to do. So the interesting thing here, though, is that when Diana wakes up, though, and has like a bit of strength back, she immediately grabs Zatanna and puts her in like a chokehold, and isn't ready to just trust her. Up front, it's going to take some time to earn that. But there's some fun stuff in there where when she does have Zatanna in the chokehold, Zatanna sign languages something backwards to get out of it.
I looked.
Oh, you looked. Of course you did. You're such a nerd.
I went and, yep. I looked in. I do look. So I'm trying to learn sign language too. I'm actually looking for like a tutor or something. So I recognize a lot, but it didn't work backwards. So I had to go and look them up. But yeah, it says phase, which I did like. I like the, she's still speaking, but not with her voice. So I like that little workaround.
Yeah. But ultimately, while, she puts on a fair fight, Diana's able to fight her off, but doesn't acknowledge that her magic's a lot more... It's a lot more, versatile, because she can just sort of say anything backwards, which is a little bit different to all the rules that Diana has for hers. But she ultimately wins because the watery trident comes and helps, and the big sort of finale to it is that Diana's made a lot of friends along the way. She's got Pegasus, she's got Ferdinand, she's got the trident, and
the water nymph girl.
The water nymph, yeah, I can't remember her name. But
I can't either.
But yeah, it's got this big full page spread, and it's makes this big point. And I think the idea is that Zatanna might one day be one of these allies, and certainly this turn shows that she isn't just this evil character. So, but we're not there yet because she has to earn that trust because of what's happened. But a little interesting detail that I liked here was that at the end of this, when everything's getting ready to separate again, Zatanna just sort of says, "Hey, by the way, you've not met Kayla yet, and she's serious business, but watch out, don't let her hands touch you, because I put a curse on her hands." And I love that little setup, because we don't really know what that means or exactly what will happen as a result of it, but I do like that Diana seems to at least in some way understand it, and it's kind of like, okay, so even though she was held captive by Kayla, even though all this stuff was going on with the Suicide Squad stuff, she still was able to do something that'll have a payoff later. So we have Chekhov's curse, I suppose we'll call it, going forward, which I really like that little detail. And again, it's another example of her trying to earn Diana's trust by saying, hey, I did this thing, this might come into play later on if you go to fight her. And there's some layouts here that are interesting. There's a page where the panels make a big Z,
yep,
which is fun. So
I like that. And again, there's a spot before we get Zatanna showing up where young Diana's talking with Aphrodite, and Aphrodite is playing with her hair. In the flashback, yeah. On the Wild Island, and they're talking about love and what like that means, and how there's a, you know, Aphrodite talks about, you know, so much beauty, but also so much horror, and that the world on the outside is so complicated. And then we get this with Zatanna here to where they're going back and forth even after, you know, on that page, it might be before the page that makes the Z, and they're talking about how, you know, Diana's magic is really strong, but the only reason Zatanna was able to get past everything is because she was distracted, right? Because, you know, Diana's such an accomplished magician, you know, and witch, that all of these things, and Zatanna's like, yeah, no, you were, but also your veins are on fire. And so it just adds to this whole complicated where it's almost like Diana's questioning her own abilities now because she's never come up against someone that's on such even footing, you know? So I like that draws back to Aphrodite and how everything's convoluted, and how Diana's love for the world isn't as simple as, oh, hey, there's good in everybody, right? There's going to be something else to there. And then when we end that scene with the, don't let Kale put hands on you, right? So it's like Zatanna giving her the edge here, you know? So I liked how that all came together.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Aphrodite thing, the other part of it is this idea of like, you know, your compassion and love for everyone's going to make you weaker. It's just kind of saying to her, if you ever go to the real world. And the guy's like, no, maybe that's the strength I need, is that that'll allow me to, you know, be having a weakness, being a little vulnerable so I can understand how they feel is how I'll actually connect with them. And that's important. And Aphrodite's kind of impressed, says, oh, the way you see things is truly special, right? It's further reinforcing the way Diana looks at things is what makes her in part who she is. So, no, really good stuff. And, you know, Diana gets like her arm back and gets like her battle gear on. She's got the fur sort of like shoulders and all that. As she goes back off to the city to take on the Suicide Squad and Zatara. So she goes after the fish guy first. Or fish woman, I should say, and you know, basically does a spell to make her spit out the parasite. This, you know, this is the bomb in the neck equivalent that they've got here for the Suicide Squad, is this parasite, and says, "Hey, I know you didn't mean any harm. Like, your people, I helped them escape the maze. They're off in that direction in the ocean. You can go find them." And you know, this character does kind of say, "Hey, all right, you know what? I believe you. Thank you for freeing me." And just a heads up, Giganta, even if you free her from the parasite, is still going to be a bitch. Like, you can't just trust her afterwards. And Zatara is really powerful. Like, she basically gives her all of the intel she can. It's like, here's everything I know that might help you in like the coming fight. So it's a kind of sweet little moment where she's kind of won over the favor of this character that she's just helped, which is really nice.
Yeah, I like that it shows it with the little cut in panel of the fist, right? So she says thank you, and then like she stops. Right, and that's when she turns and tells her, you know. So a nice little moment there.
Yeah, and then, you know, basically the big cliffhanger is just that she's going to fight Zatara. Detail I liked here though is she's sort of like watching him before she's kind of struck. Is she sort of hiding like in an alleyway looking at him? And like, there's obviously he's just a skeleton surrounded by fire. The visual here of Zatara. This is why it wasn't obvious, like just from a visual who he was, because he's a skeleton on fire. But she's like, oh, like the magic coming off of this guy is like actually hitting me in waves. It's like it's emanating like waves of energy coming off of him. So it's really selling the idea of how powerful he is. And she pulls out, you know, the Troika lasso. And that's what she's going to use. Then, so that's the cliffhanger we end on, is her like getting ready to, you know, attack with that, and announces her appearance and all that. So
I do like how she announces things, because that's how Zatanna addressed her through all of her names, right? So when she announces the Troika, you know, blood of Scylla, the man-eater, fur of Cerberus, the three-headed hound of hell, sacred icy tears of Styx, the oath of gods. So it's like really setting up that this thing is like all of these legendary things, right, put into one. And it says Troika knows your secrets, and will break you of them. And
it does. It splits into three, so there is this idea of it's made up of different things. Like there's different like histories have all combined into this thing.
Yeah, and it's this bluish green, like a teal, up against the fire. So it's like striking and it's lighting Diana up, right? So there's those competing colors playing here on the last page as well.
Yeah, the orange and the
she
teal.
even-
Every movie poster from the mid-2000s, all of a sudden.
Yeah. And then she even calls him by his reverse name, right? She calls him Giovanni Zatara, but backwards. So I like that on there too, right? That's how she gets his attention.
Yep. So that's the cliffhanger. I thought this was a very good issue. I thought it really sold the effect that Zatara had on her at the end of or the start of this issue. It really sold kind of how much he was able to beat her and how much she wasn't expecting that the fire in her veins, as they called it. But then you obviously fleshed out Zatanna, her intentions, the fact that she was never like on Kale's side. She was being controlled and was trying to like find a way out to help and all that. And then just the way that it builds back in, the sort of the truce, if you will, that's a bit uneasy for now. And then Diana like actually freeing another member of the squad, and that's also bearing fruit. Like all of those details were a really fun progression. I mean, the only not even a negative per se, but the only thing that really like tickled my brain a little bit is that I thought it was funny how effectively the cliffhanger is the same as last issue, because it's her facing off against fiery magic user. Now obviously the context is different here, and it's more of a I'm back to actually take him on this time, and I've had time to prepare, but still
she's being proactive versus reactive.
Yes,
this time it's repeating like almost like a verse in a song.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
I was trying so hard not to say that, Pete.
You want to sound like George Lucas making the Star Wars prequels? You can do that, Matt. You can do it all you like.
I have too much of a chin to talk like George Lucas.
But no, I mean, obviously the art's gorgeous. I think it did a good. I liked, even as Zatanna and Diana were fighting with their magic, I liked kind of the acknowledgements of how different their magics are, and how Diana's saying, "Oh, this magic's very different from the magic I use, and how do I deal with that?" And like all the different ways. So it's like, Diana like fails a little bit because Zatanna's able to get out of a situation using sign language. So then the next time she wins, she like binds her hands so she can't sign language either. It's like, no, you're and now I need to stop your hands and your mouth. I've learned that. Now I win. Okay, let's go.
It's essentially immobilizing her. Any kind of communication, I feel like Zatanna can find a way through. So, and then also with the help from her friends, right? She had Pegasus and the Trident of Poseidon as well. With some assistance there, which again has been her strength since this book started.
Yeah,
so,
I like that she's built up a support system that when it comes back in now, it feels like, she's got a whole team now. Now, the one question now is Barbara going to be as pro Wonder Woman? Just with that little tease at the start of her thinking she's been left behind. Let's see how uneasy that makes things when they're in a scene together again, probably next issue.
Yeah.
So. All right. What are you giving Absolute Wonder Woman?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
I think I agree with that. I think it's a very, very good issue. Very great issue, even. I don't know if it's as good as last issue or some of the best issues of the book, and that's basically it. But it's fantastic.